Steve?
Yes.
Hey, Treat Williams.
Treat, how are you, sir?
I got a half-hour break, and I thought, tomorrow they're slamming me. I thought maybe we could get some of it.
No, that's fine. I'll think quickly. First of all, how are you?
Good. I'm good. I'm on a movie in Maine, and it's crazy, but
I guess just to get sort of a little background on when and where you met Annie. Was it while you guys were doing Hair?
Yes, it was. We met during the audition process for Hair. Milos kept bringing in different people, different groups of people, and ultimately, we all survived the cut, so to speak.
Had you done musical theater before that?
Sorry. Huh?
Had you done musical theater before that?
I had done nothing but, basically, through college. And I'd done a lot of Shakespeare and light comedy and was training. And I had played the lead in Grease for 3... I'm in an interview, sorry. I played the lead in Grease for 3 years on Broadway. And so Milos saw me in it and said, you do something very few people do, that American actors do, you go completely overboard. But, Annie and I became very close very quickly, and then, interestingly, we were all also auditioning for a remake of the stage production. Mm-hmm. And Annie decided to do it, and I did not. I believe Annie did the stage play. And Milos asked me not to. He was concerned that we would sort of change our, we would get too theatrical for the camera. But I think, as I remember it correctly, Annie did do it. I don't remember. And but anyway, she was terrific in the film. I think her improvisational skills were extraordinary.
It was. You do. When you watch that movie, you get such a loose feeling that I don't know if that could ever be, approximated today. I mean, not to sort of bash on, directors now, but there was something very special and earthy about it. Whenever I watch Hair, I mean, I was a little kid when I saw it, but I've certainly gone back and watched it, and you wouldn't even think you guys are lip syncing. There's just something so wonderful about it. I mean, did you feel that while it was happening?
Well, I have to say it was Milos who sort of wore us out. I mean, he would do 10, 15, 20, 30 takes until we stopped acting. And I learned a lot from him in terms of improv and just being natural. I think the one thing I remember shouting at us all the time was, no, it's not real. It's not real. But Annie was always right on the money. I mean, she just had this great, warm, she really was, of all the hippies, I think embodied the spirit of what it was like to sort of check, to be a free spirit. Particularly the fact that she doesn't know whose baby it is, and it was just wonderful the way. It's a great character, and she did it beautifully.
Did you know about her band at the time?
Oh, sure, the Shirts, yes, of course. That was a big deal. Actually, we had some very good musicians. I was a singer on Broadway and starring in a musical. Donnie Dacus was an extraordinary guitarist who ended up for a while in the band Chicago. Woof. And Annie, of course, had the Shirts, and that was a big deal for her. And she's gone on to do wonderful Broadway performances, too.
And she still has chops. A lot of people lose their voice. Are you still singing at all?
Oh, yeah, sure. My last musical was a Sondheim musical on Broadway.
That's amazing. And, I'm sorry to interrupt, but, when I think about Hair, a lot of you guys were born in, the early 50s or late 40s, and here you're doing this hippie, odyssey like 10 years after the fact. I mean, when you were a kid, did you consider yourself a hippie? Did you have that ethos?
No, I was a fringe hippie. I was a weekend hippie. I would drive into the city in my Mustang when I was 16 and put on bell-bottom pants and go to the Electric Circus and all those places. And, it was very trippy, but I didn't really experiment and get into more of the more interesting things till I was in college, But we were pretty much, I never dropped out. I mean, I liked the concept of it. I liked the idea of it, but I liked having a bed to sleep in. Did you have did you have a draft card, or were you part of the lottery? I was part of the lottery, and I remember sitting in my parents' kitchen. Actually, my mother and I didn't speak for a long time. My uncle was killed in World War II, and
oh wow.
And we had a rough time because I said, if my number gets called, I'm not sure I'm staying. I don't believe in this. That caused a bit of a problem for a while. I sat in my parents' kitchen listening to watching the television when they called the lottery numbers. Specifically, my number was 347. And that put me way up at the end of the list. And I drank a lot of beer that night waiting to hear my number called.
Oh, God. How long did that, was it just a normal production period? Did it last longer?
No. It was a year. We started in the fall. I don't know what year it was. I can't remember. I think it was the fall of 79. But we started in the fall, so we shot Central Park out until the leaves kind of left Central Park. I mean, we did some scenes where we were freezing. It was frigid. The scene in the band shell. I've never been so cold. And it
wasn't even snowing.
No, but it was wet cold. New York cold coming off the Hudson Atlantic. And then we had to wait out. Basically, during the winter, January-ish, I think, we went out to Barstow, California, and shot all the military-based desert stuff. And then we had a little break, and we had to wait until the leaves came back in spring and finished up in the spring of the following, year. So it was close to 8 or 9 months of a production period with shutdowns, where we just shut down.
Do you reflect on that period? I mean, your IMDb page. I mean, it's just like an index of the best of TV and movie. I mean, but do you reflect back on early experiences like that? With the cast, do you guys remain close? Do you think about these guys?
Sure, think about them all the time. I mean, I can't go anywhere where hair isn't on a poster, or they did a revival last summer that I heard was wonderful. I hear the music all the time. I have people, tweeting me, "I loved you in Hair," that kind of thing, which I'm always proud of. It's one of probably the 5 top movies I've been in, if not one of the top movie. It's one of my proudest moments in film.
I'll tell you, before I've got a couple more questions about Annie, but one of my favorite lines of all time was in Once Upon a Time in America, when you said, you boys aren't like a case of the measles, the mumps, you're the plague. Like, for some reason, that just sticks in my head. It's a great line.
I actually like I Am Godzilla, You Are Japan from Things to Do in Denver. That's my favorite.
All right, that's a good one, too.
I said that to Steve Buscemi just before I shot him.
Oh, really?
I Am Godzilla, You Are Japan.
Oh, that's classic. So, just a couple more things. This is probably enough on Annie. But when you think back on her and Hair and just, it's sad that they cut her song out of the movie. I think because that they shot. I guess there was the World Trade.
Wish they had a beautiful Frank Mills. They had a beautiful The Air, and we shot it. We shut down the Goethals Bridge. I believe it was, for an entire day. And I really wish they would have released one version DVD with all of the missing footage, of those songs. And Annie, beautiful voice, probably the best singer of all of us, actually. Well, she and Beverly both sang beautifully.
That's great. So, all right, well, listen, I can't imagine a greater pleasure and a surprise for the day, and I appreciate your calling. And if I have any other questions, I could...
Please call. You got this number up, and if it came up, but if you have any other questions, give me a call.
All right. Thanks so much, Treat.
Tell Annie I send my love, and if there's anything else I can say, but I just can't say enough about how she really, I think, is the heart and soul of that little group of hippies. The one that was the true free spirit was Annie, and she really made the movie. So,
do you talk to Milos ever?
Yeah, sure. Yep.
God,
on occasion. We live about an hour from each other, and I keep threatening to go see him. I didn't get down there last summer, and I didn't get down there this summer, but I'm going to try and get down there this fall.
All right, cool. Well, listen, have a good rest of the production in Maine.
Thank you for talking
to me. Thank you for calling me. I appreciate it, Treat. Thank you.
No worries.
Bye-bye.
Bye.